Hello, hello. We'll get going here. I'll say hello to people. Hopefully it looks better. I changed the encoding profile. Anyone home? Oh, it looks like I am getting some dropped frames, unfortunately. I don't know why that is. I am getting some dropped frames. I wonder if I'm trying to push too many bits through, or it's just a bad internet day today. Hello, Jeff. Hello, Michael. Hi, DBD. Hi, Charles. Hopefully I'm not dropping too many frames. Kind of bad, but I don't know, we'll go with it. I think it's my internet. I don't think it's my computer. So I guess we'll just go with it. I think it's fine. Like, I don't move that much. I don't move that much. As long as the audio is okay, like, it'll be fine. Okay, let me just shrink this window. Restream looks fine. And YouTube looks like it's happy. Okay. Don't look too closely. Andrew says, no dropped frames obvious here. Great. OBS is reporting like 18%. And it gives us like little signal bars. But I'm not sure. I don't know what that means. I don't know. I feel like even though I'm on fiber, sometimes it's unhappy with me, or it could be like I send the signal to Restream and then Restream sends it on. Maybe Restream is having problems. So yeah, don't look too close, and it should be fine. Hopefully, you know, as long as the stream keeps going, hopefully it'll be okay. Jeff says they are seeing a few freezes, but that's okay. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Andrew says, until I sent that and then a few freezes. Yeah, it looks to me like it's bouncing a little bit back and forth. So sorry about that. I don't actually know if there's anything I can do. Mark says, freezing here and there, audio seems fine so far. Andrew says, pretty good. Yeah, well, I don't think there's a lot I can do about that, honestly. I have symmetric fiber internet. I don't know why it's not happy with me. But, you know, I feel like, the last 2 weeks have been fine, but the previous week was bad again. Hi, DCD. So we'll just go with it. And most of the time I'm showing my screen and I'm not changing all that much stuff anyway. DBD says audio is good. Good. As long as the audio doesn't hiccup, I think I don't actually expect a lot of people to be watching in detail. So yeah, it should be all right. Let's get started. We're after 2 and it's going well enough that I think we can get, I'm not gonna restart or anything. So hello everyone, welcome. If you don't know, this is a deep dive with Scott. I am Scott. Tim, aka Foamy Guy, also does deep dives, so it's nice to kind of say who it is. I work on CircuitPython for Adafruit. Adafruit is an open source software and hardware company based out of New York City. I do, so I work for Adafruit. You can support me and them by going to adafruit.com. This is their channel. And I work on CircuitPython, which is a version of Python designed for tiny microcontrollers. Here's one example that I got out. Here's a Feather. Let me switch to presentation mode. So this is a Feather RP2040 with a USB host on it. So we might get to some USB host bugs. And so I kind of snagged that so that I would have it if I decided to work on that. This black chip here is the microcontroller. They cost like under $1, and they're little tiny computers that are good at interfacing with the real world, and they're also great for like just doing a single task. They're not going to run your web browser, but they are handy for checking a button and making something light up if that happens. So deep dives, I'm going to switch back to eye tracking focus mode. So deep dives are something that I tend to do Friday afternoons. I'm in Pacific time, so Friday at 2 p.m. Pacific is when I usually do it. They go for about 2 hours, and it's kind of all a smattering of topics related to the internals of CircuitPython. So generally, I will kind of just work on what I've been working on throughout the week on the deep dive, and I'll also take questions. And these questions can be all sorts of technical questions or whatever. I'm just super open to them, and also happy to go on tangents, get kind of really deep into the topics that people bring up, even though I hadn't been planning on it particularly anyway. So I like to start with questions if folks have them. Otherwise, I'll kind of like tell you what I've been working on. Let's say hello to Hams Labs, who says, I hope all is well, or even better than that all is wonderful. Yeah, it's getting pretty good. I feel pretty good. The family's not too sick. I have a 1-year-old in daycare, so it's all relative. Hello, Beata. Howdy, hi. Do all controllers come with bent pins? They don't, but if you have them, you can give yourself some bent pins if you really want to. Jeff noticed I was like bending one of them back. These are the stacking headers, and the stacking headers tend to be particularly bad. Oh, come on. Stacking headers tend to be particularly kind of flimsy in this direction, so you got to be a little bit careful with them there. Hello, Deshipu. All right, so if folks have questions, feel free to ask them. Otherwise, I will, maybe we should look out the window for a bit. It was actually quite nice and sunny, but the clouds are rolling in. So I went for a walk, which was good. I've got Benchcam here working. And one thing I did this week is I tuned NeoPixels. So if people are curious about that, that's what this strip here is for, is NeoPixels testing, if you want to talk about that. Although I'm not working on that anymore, it's done. I still have that. You might see here, I got a humidifier because I've been zapping things. So I got a humidifier. You can see the steam here. It's doing its best to keep up, but I opened the window and now it's like quite dry in here. And I just zapped like my microphone and like I think reset the audio interface, which is not good. It's been good. It's been good until I opened the window and then the humidity dropped. So yeah, we have desk cam. Overhead cam is unplugged, so we're not going to have that today. But yeah, let's go to the desktop. And again, if folks have questions, feel free to ask them. Otherwise, the thing I was actually doing was what we've been working on is getting 9.0 stabilized so that we can do a 9.0 stable release. And so we have a release list or an open issues list. So if you go to Adafruit CircuitPython issues and then go milestones 9.0, you'll see everything that we kind of have on our radar to do before 9.0 is stabilized. And there are 17 open issues, which I think is what we had earlier today too. But this is down from like 38 at the start of the week, I think. So Jeff, Dan, and I have been really hammering on this. So we could go over the ones that we want to do, but actually I just realized that I was fixing, so you'll see here, this is the column of assignees, and I have this one, listen/accept race condition ends up losing clients. I was looking at this earlier today, and I have a change that it doesn't actually tickle a bug as far as I could tell, but it does kind of highlight a difference between the way CircuitPython and CPython work, and so I wanted to change that. Jeff says, do you wind up having to deprecate older boards or say version X is the last for this controller? We've had a little bit of discussions for that, but we've never... actually, we have done that, but only... so early on in versions like 2, In version 2, we supported the ESP8266. And then I think right before 3, I might be off by 1, but we decided that we would deprecate the ESP8266 support because it didn't have native USB. So that was the point where we really kind of refocused on like the CircuitPy drive experience. So the only boards that we've ever stopped supporting are ESP8266 ones. There was a little discussion during CircuitPython 2024 about maybe deprecating some that are like perpetually too full in terms of code size, but we came to no conclusions with that, and I'd really not like to do it. I'd rather keep supporting the boards that we expect to support, under the idea that like those boards that are full just don't get new features, right? Like features are almost always a function of a new module, and so you just omit the module from the old thing, and then in theory it stays the same size. Now there are a few things that do wiggle that a little bit, and those are the things that cause trouble. But generally, no, we want to keep supporting everything. And it does look like the drop frames is still about the same amount, unfortunately. But I'm also not moving it anything. And closed captions are off. I think somebody turns them off. Or you have to. Oh, maybe I can turn them on now. No, I cannot turn them on anymore, but it looks like they're off. Sorry, I had to explicitly turn them on last time. Here, I'll add them to my streaming checklist. Set YouTube to auto start and auto caption. I had to do it automatically last week, and then I forgot to do it this week. But my intention is that they're on. I don't know why they get turned off, but I also share the YouTube settings with like the other Adafruit streamers. So maybe somebody else who uses this account turns them off. So sorry about that. I do like having them on. I don't know why they get turned off. If I'm good, I'll remember to bring that up in internal meetings next week. Okay, so that's the story about deprecating our boards. Basically, I really don't want to. And the thing that I was working on is this race condition thing. Let's also just take a quick peek at pull requests that I have merged, or that were merged in, if people have, or if these are interesting to any folks. So I just merged in updated submodules, blah, 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 out of range, USB fixes, new board. There was this issue that I did yesterday where if you typed a single character in the IMX boards, you wouldn't be able to Control-C it anymore. And I figured out that we needed like a bigger CDC buffer for tiny USB. So that's what this PR is. I also did UART updates on the IMX, and I updated the SDK. There were some reports of like MIDI not working on the IMX, so hopefully that should be fixed. I simplified how it worked because it was a little more complicated than it needed to be, and hopefully that'll make it more reliable. There was also an issue around, this one I fixed like 4 bugs with. You can see they're all marked as fixed now. There was also a read memory error where it tried to like allocate 800K of bytes or something. It was like some some math that was happening internally that just gave you like a bogus number. So yeah, did that. Jeff did this really cool thing where he unified the SSL support between the Raspberry Pi or the PicoW and the Espressif ports. So the Espressif stuff was implemented on top of the ESP TLS, and Jeff basically removed that and circumvented it straight to embed TLS again, which is awesome. So we share the SSL side of things now between pwmout and Espressif, which should hopefully enable HTTP server HTTPS servers. Was one reason to do that. Dan found an issue with TLS, well, Dan fixed an issue with TLS access to api.github.com, some setting in the SDK config, and he revamped some of the settings for the S3 in particular. So all S3s that have 4 megabytes of flash will no longer have BLE, which is incomplete anyway. Jeff fixed a problem where to try to mutate a group that you shouldn't be able to mutate. PIO allocation to USB host was switched so that hopefully PicoW USB host will work. Deshipu, who's in the chat, found this issue where the dunder file was no longer available, and Jeff found the piece of code that added that got like accidentally dropped during a merge. I improved NeoPixels on the ESP chips. This involved moving, so CircuitPython will now run on the second core on the ESP32, which is awesome. We already did that on the S3, but I hadn't flipped the bit, like I hadn't set the setting, so the ESP32 did that as well. So that helps NeoPixels on the ESP32, and then the S2 is like kind of the trickiest of the three, the S3, the S2, and the ESP32. And I figured out that I can use more RMT RAM so that the transmission is smoother. So that improves NeoPixel transmissions on the S2s, which is why I had the desk thing set up here. And I showed it on Show and Tell on Wednesday, like the difference between the two. So I'm really happy with that. This disabled variable length SSL buffers was causing, Jerry had found that the IoT doorbell example didn't work. So and it was caused by this variable length SSL buffers for some reason. So I just turned it back on. I merged in A2X changes. We merged in all of the driver updates that I had been working on, which I think is what I did on this stream last time, which was testing and fixing for that. So that's merged in as well. So yeah, we've just been hammering on bug fixes. Kattni did a board def, which is awesome. I boosted last week, I don't know if I talked about this, but I boosted the flash and RAM speeds on all of the ESP boards. So if you have an ESP board that doesn't work very well anymore, we might have to turn the speed down, but I think generally they should be okay. Yeah. I think that's about it for the overview of what we've been doing. Lots and lots of bug fixes. And I know somebody had mentioned, I think it might have been Tyeth, asked about doing IMX stuff on the stream, but I'm kind of through that. There's only one more IMX bug, and it's kind of like the file system doesn't work very well. So Dan was going to take a look at that because he's the one that was seeing issues. Yeah, so we're in quite good shape. We have 17 left, and a lot of these are kind of like a bit wait and see. So we'll see. Some that I have on my radar is, one, I want to finish this IDF5 race condition thing, so we'll definitely do that. Jeff has a PR for this USB host 5-volt power thing that we should also, that I can do the review on the stream for. PulseIn causes hard crashes would actually be probably pretty easy to do if we wanted to do that. This memory error with simple imports on PicoW I also had my eye on. And then, yeah, maybe these USB host keyboards as well. Or these USB host fixes too. Any preferences, or should I just keep going? We're still dropping frames. for some reason. I wonder how we debug dropped frames. Okay, so here's a simple one that Dan did and just had a build issue that I poked it for. So he just added another root certificate. Somebody found like flight aware didn't work or something. So just adding another root certificate fixes it. So we'll merge that. Dan like quickly found that, so that was great. And then let's take a look at this allow 5-volt power to be controlled from user code on USB host feather. The pad state can no longer be used for whether it's in use or not. And this is useful for being able to turn off and on USB devices that you're connected to on the host feather. So @mousemd. I don't know why this has changed. PA31. Can we view this in the different split? Let's see what it looks like separately. Ah, I see. That looks like a bug. I don't know what this separate thing is. It must just be a bug. So that looks good. And now USB host board reset. No glitch on the pin was already configured as high. Okay, so YouTube says it's lower than recommended current bitrate. OBS looks like it's okay. It might just be restream causing issues. So this allows the host port to automatically turn it on. And then now he's just doing separate pin claiming. Okay, that's pretty standard stuff. But I wonder... Oh, okay, it's deleted. Perfect. All right, looks good to me. I should switch it back before I get confused. All right. So we're caught up in terms of reviews. We're actually doing quite well in terms of, yeah, we might want to just, yeah, some of these are tricky. I'm feeling it coming on that I'm going to end up going through these PRs and just closing and saying, when you have this done, come back and open a new one. Otherwise, it's just sitting here. Okay, so the issue that I was working on is this one from Bill. And they filed a really good, I made this post of, can you quickly reproduce this issue? It's hard to fix something that cannot be easily and quickly reproduced. So Bill wrote a really good comment. So I should thank them and highlight it. So they say, okay, in CircuitPython, put this code.py. There's no other libraries. It's just this code. Here in CPython from your computer, run this thing. And then here's kind of the sample output and why it fails, which was great. Great for debugging. I found a couple issues with the test code that I thought. But I also found that part of the reason they're not closing one of the sockets that is accepting things. And they got no error because in CircuitPython, we would just kind of like implicitly allow you to reuse a port. But the problem with that is that you can leave another socket kind of hanging and basically run out of sockets. And you have to then wait for everything to time out and reset. So I have some work here that I want to get finished. If we git status, actually I'm in the wrong place. I want to be in here. So this is where all my test code is happening. So you can see that I've made some changes to socket. So let's take a look at what those are. And I have some prints and stuff that we'll have to take out. But I basically want to get this sent out for PR before the weekend. And it's a long weekend. We don't have, we have a holiday on Monday. So the chances of my brain understanding all of this come Tuesday are like not 100%. And in fact, I think we're planning on starting potty training for the 1-year-old, soon to be 2-year-old. So I'm going to be absorbed in cleanup from that. So it'll be fun. Hopefully it'll work out. So, okay, so I'm going to remove all the prints because I think I've figured out what I want to do. So these first 2 changes are just to get the debug builds fitting. So I'm just going to ignore those for now. I'm going to remove the debug prints. And the Sublime merge is great for that. This one's a little tricky where there's a debug print within code that I actually changed. So this is what I'm changing is that if you called socket.bind in CircuitPython before, we would actually allow you to reuse the address without you having to ask to do that. Where in CPython, you actually have to do that yourself first. So what I'm doing is I'm removing the implicit nature of it, and I'm switching it to allowing you to do it. And so we didn't have the ability to do it before, but now you'll be able to do what you would have done in CPython. So let's edit this file. It's an expressive socket. We could just look for log. No questions? No, I guess we could do, that's fine. It's a quiet chat today. I wonder if that's because it is before a holiday weekend. So I'm returning error codes now so that we can get the right error message back. I'm changing the way that Raspberry Pi does it as well. This is a red herring. This is just me testing something. And now we're raising, so it used to raise value error, which is not what CPython does. So now it'll do an OS error, which is more correct. And actually I need to make sure that the PwW build works. I'm adding 2 magic numbers that allow you to set the option. I don't know really why they're enums. I renamed this so that it wouldn't conflict with other like debug define. Makes it more explicit. So, oh, I need to test that the Raspberry Pi Pico works because I don't think it will. Which I think I just did. Yeah. Let's see if this works. It may not. I think that I didn't necessarily do the right, yeah, I didn't update the return on it. So let's take a quick peek at that. Ports, Raspberry Pi, Common Hell, socketpool, socket. Oh, interesting. Look at this. So it raises OS error directly from it. Oh, and it returns const none. That is not right. That is not right at all. So this is good. So if error is not equal error okay, then we return. We don't need to raise anymore. We'll return the lookup. Otherwise, we'll return 0. And that should be correct. Hopefully. Okay, so let's make it. All right, it compiles now. I already tested the shared binding side of things, so I don't feel like I actually need to test it on the Pwmout at this point. So let's just go here and we'll stage that as well. These 2 things we don't want to stage because that's just for debugging. So we'll get status. And we'll do a commit. Oh yeah, and I have this problem that my uncrustify is too new. I spent some time trying to we really need to update the version of uncrustify. This is how I downgrade. I couldn't make a new version of uncrustify produce output that matches the old version. Uncrustify, UN. It's the C code formatter that MicroPython picked, and therefore we inherited. Another popular one that I would have picked is Clang format, but I don't know the reason that they picked uncrustify, but they did. Allow explicit. Actually, require explicit socket port reuse. It implicitly can lead to mistaken socket leaks and reuse. It now matches CPython. Yep, uncrustify, that's right. And I'm just gonna say that it fixes this bug, even though it may be that it doesn't. 8443. This is a breaking change. Okay, it just prompted me for my. Let me type my password on camera. it's prompting me to unlock my keychain so it can sign the commit. All right, git push tannewt esp accept. All right, so push that and let's make a PR and we'll call that good. So once I push it, it should show up here, and I can do a pull request. And I'll have Dan review it. Actually, maybe I should have Jeff review it, because I think he did that code. Mark it as 9. It is a breaking change. Changes the way that bind works. But it also breaks it from CircuitPython behavior to CPython behavior. And if I was asking Michael Pacusa about it, and they had to add this try finally block to the Adafruit CircuitPython HTTP server, whereas if we had done that this way before, then they would have not needed the exception block, because it wouldn't work like CPython. So this is the right change, I think, in my book. Okay, so there's that. I don't know why my frame rate is still unhappy. But I don't know. Is there like a restream status? System status. Like 100% uptime. Some other partial availability. I don't know. Okay, so now let's go back to issues and let's see if we can pick one that we can finish in an hour and a half. Hopefully. Ooh, now there's 15 open. Awesome. Pin naming, Dan's gonna do. File system flaky, Dan's gonna look at. Memory leak for VLE, Dan's gonna look at. I just did something for this. Web workflow deletes a chunk of code on save is like, it's bad, but it's also hard to reproduce. There's no like clear like do this and then this and then this to cause it. This intermittent delay while reading cap touch is really just a tuning of the split heap thing. PulseIn hard crashes actually is probably pretty doable in this amount of time. So maybe we should just do that. Like that's the sort of one that it's a simple reproduction case. If it crashes, we'll be able to fix it pretty easily. Otherwise not. Memory error with simple imports is the other one I was looking at or thinking I could do. Sys version has a PR. Hard fault on serial disconnect is a tiny USB problem. High duty connectable BLE stuff is Dan was going to look at. Web workflow into S3, Melissa's going to look at. And then these two, this unplug, replug USB host, Jeff thinks is fine. And then no audio artifacts. Good. Thanks, DJ Devon3. Yeah, DCD says you've been testing pulseio the other week, right? Yes, I was doing pulseio testing. And I guess I didn't do the carrier wave testing yet, but if I pull up the guide that I haven't released yet, and maybe I should do SPI and I2C testing. This one? Yeah. I have another secret browser with all my work tabs. So I added UART testing here. I didn't add, and maybe I should. I did some like stress testing using MIDI and found more issues. But then for pulseio, I did free runnings, which I think is what we were doing where we had to like get the right first pulse. And then PulseOut, I did just on off. We did that as well. But then I tested the carrier, and I did the carrier with like a pretty low, like 10 kilohertz frequency. So it was low enough that like PulseIn could actually measure it. So it was getting all of these 50 microsecond pulses in. So I was able to verify the carrier via PulseIn, which is cool. And that was kind of the last thing I did before I was done. And it was interesting that the carrier doesn't necessarily line up with the pulse. So it got like 8 microseconds and then blah, 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 and then 42 at the end for a total of 300, which is what? It was 300 on, 100 off, and 300 on again. And the off was 102, so it was like very close. But the carrier shouldn't apply for the... yeah, right. The carrier shouldn't apply for the off period and the this 2 extra, well, no, 2 plus 6 plus 50s plus 44. Yeah, so I don't know why there's an extra 2 there, but it's like, well, it's good enough for me. So yeah, did that. I guess I didn't do, did I show countio? So I did countio where I used PulseOut and then just verify that the number of edges matches. So I did that. I had to fix something with frequency IO, and then I did rotary IO as well. Yeah, so I did all that testing, and I did like dump all of the test code in here. So I need to go back and I think this is probably pretty close to at least having like the first bits ready to be published. But I'm kind of like thinking this CMD bug, if I could reproduce it, would be kind of an easy win to do. So it's just a hard fault on Metro M4 Express. So it's a SAMD 51. Do I have any of those within arm's reach, or do I have to take my mic off to get that? I didn't actually think I was going to do this, but now that like I have this constraint of like something I can do pretty quickly. This is a SAMD 21, but I want to do a 51. I don't think I have a 51 on my desk. This is also an M0. SAMD 21. I actually put them away, and I didn't foresee just knocking this one out. So let me get a Metro, and then we'll do this bug and get it down to 14 issues. Express. You're right. PulseIn is crashing. Oh, and I zapped it again. Definitely the humidity in here is dropped. That's a great thing that your filing system is working well. Yeah, I'm quite happy with it. I have more stuff that I need to do that for. And I do tend to collect, like I have all this desk space now, so I do tend to collect boards here, but I'm trying to be better about putting them back / putting them away. Okay, so let's just get this. I have an ESP board here, but I'm not going to need that anymore. And I have a PicoW for that memory one. But let's just take this SAMD, this M4 Express. And it doesn't look like it's working. Maybe I broke this one. I get the green LED, but I'm not getting anything else. So maybe I actually destroyed one. It's probably all this zappage. I should have grabbed it. There's another one in there. I should have grabbed it too. De-staticify myself before I grab the mic again. Okay, so maybe since I'm going to be fussing to my left, let me switch to desktop with overhead, which is not what I want. I want bench cam there. Great. Okay, so I grabbed 2 more metros. And I also grabbed a grandcentral. Sorry, you couldn't see those. The reason I grabbed these is because they have SWG connectors on them. Let's just see. Is that the same one? Oh, you know what? There is a, oh, that's for the, there's a switch on it. This one's not doing anything either. Is that the one? Let's see if this one works. How in the world? I have 2 metros that don't work? What world is this? Like, I'm expecting the bootloader at least to come up. And power. All right. Maybe I destroyed the bootloader on those. This one works. Oh man. Can you, I don't know if you can see the LED blinks. It's blinking like it's like old enough CircuitPython where it's like trying to give me the line number. I don't think those metros go in the bootloader, which is weird. Sorry. You like seeing me text my partner? Anyway, this is old CircuitPython. So let's, it's also SAMD51. So let's update it. So I just double click to get into the bootloader. And let's build a SAMD make board metro or grandcentral M4 Express. Let's clean in case I have done it recently. Where is the decode line number algorithm? That's why we got rid of it. Because nobody actually used like what line number it was. It was like certain colors were like different tens places. Yeah. There's a reason we got rid of it. Nobody used it. Nobody used it. It was too complicated. I'm much happier with it now. And we used to keep the LED lit as user code was running, and now we don't, which is nice. The old beep codes, don't miss those at all. Yeah. Might be nice for rendering, but if they're an enclosure, then they're pointless. Yeah, they're not useful. Like the simpler system of just like green means it worked, but it's also done, versus red means it errored, yellow is safe mode. Like it, yeah. Very happy with that point, or that choice. You disk control. There's a way to mount. Why can't I see it? That's what I want. Except it's GC and M4 boot. This is a kind of neat one-liner that allows me to mount and copy over the UF2s without having to like go into my thing and drag and drop it. GCM4. Yeah, yep, exactly. The serial link is much better. All right, so we got a CircuitPy drive. There's all sorts of stuff on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just copy it. And I have this folder called Random Backups, where I create a new folder with today's date. Like, I don't know what code's on here or if I backed it up, so I just copy it all off before I mess with it. And then let's go back here, and I don't even know what this code is. Oh, it's a BME 680 test. You know what? I didn't test. What I've started to do is all right. So now in code.py, what was I going to say? There was a thought there that I didn't finish. Bottom. What is that? Oh, it's just printing the time. It's not crashing. Retired Wizard says, I've got one of those backup folders on my desktop. I never ever go back to it. I do sometimes. I'll like search it. So this is just printing time. And they said that they didn't have anything actually connected to it. They're using a Metro M4, which they hard faulted. PulseIn board D2, but it seems to be working okay for me. I wonder if let's like, one thing is if D2 is like floating, it might just cause some like, no. Maybe those are analog. Hey, there we go. All right. All right, so we hard crashed it. So it crashed when I just plugged in the wire, which is good. So now what I'm going to do is I have a J-Link here that is connected to this IMX Metro that I was working with. And I'm just going to plug it right into my grandcentral. And here I'm gonna do JLink, but with a @sam d51 J19. I don't know if it's a J19. I think it's something. Yeah, it's a P20. So what I'm trying to do is I want to get the debugger connected. Can I make the desk camera primary? Sure. This. So here's my setup. I've got a JLink here. It's got the fat cable, gets converted down to the shorter cable. And then here's the grandcentral. And all I did to cause the crash is like dangle this wire off of it. So because it's PulseIn is going to look for edges, and I suspect what's happening is that like the fact that it's just like a floating wire, like there's no set kind of value for it, which is causing like maybe a lot of edges to happen or something like that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do GDB with a grandcentral firmware elf, and then we're going to do clean and reload debug. So that was a non-debug build. So we have all the code running on there. So now, what I can also do is I can, and you can't quite see it here. So I have a USB cable with a switch that allows me to only power the device and not have the data connection come up, which is really helpful when the debugger's running, just to insulate your computer from like the USB coming and going and coming and going. Okay, I think I'll switch back to the desktop if that's okay, but let me know if you want to see the bench again. Floating edge is causing a hard fault. That's a bit weird. Yeah. Oh, and the other thing I should do is I should accept this. I will assign myself, and I will remove the needs retest because we did manage to reproduce it. Okay, so we just loaded that, and now we should do mon reset. We should break. So this is good. This is how I usually will debug safe mode errors like this. So there's a reset into safe mode function that I break on. So now I hit continue. It's gonna start up and hopefully run the code, which I can't tell because I don't have USB. But let's just kind of it's no longer happening when I plug and unplug it. So what I'm going to do is actually just go across the way, and you can kind of see this. So I'm going to hit ground, and then I'm going to like manually do some pulses. 3 volts, ground, 3 volts, ground. And we're not hitting that bug, unfortunately. So I'm going to remove the wire. And backtrace. So we're in built-in print. So it looks like it's running. Let's just keep it going. Maybe add a blink into the code to be sure it's running. Yeah, that's a good idea. But that involves turning the USB back on. I wonder if I just need to give it like too many edges or something. I'm trying to like rub it. Was any information from the crash captured? Oh, backtrace. Not that first time, unfortunately. That's what hopefully having the debugger on will catch. But that involves like, being, it might just be that it needs to be, I mean, it was running kind of a while. If it's floating, I don't know. Was the bug verified by second person? Like, I managed to do it. That's why I said it was like, didn't need a retest. Bummer. Maybe because we didn't crash, let's do what Retired Wizard is saying and just let's turn our data on. It could be USB related, I don't know. So if we do crash, we'll still be okay. But let's do what Retired Wizard was saying is like, let's just let it run for a little while longer. We could also do, if this doesn't work, we could also turn on a pwmout on a like neighboring pin that we could just like jam it in there and get a bunch of edges to try to just overwhelm it. Oh, there we go. Look at that. Okay, so I'm gonna flip my USB thing because the USB is gonna be unhappy, but all right, we got a backtrace. So maybe it is related to PulseIn and auto reload. So we're in format float. We get a signal handler, PulseIn interrupt handler, PulseIn.c. Okay, so let's pull that up. See what we're looking at. @mailsand, common hell, pulseio, PulseIn, 93. TC. So 93 TC. So this TC must be null. So if we go, we want to be in frame 3, info locals. TC is not null. It is 202038E. But my guess is that's wrong. Oh, I want to print this. Yeah. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So these are the valid ones. And PulseIn.c index. What do you think that is? $255. Right, so it's being set to 255. It's indexing too far and it's getting the wrong value out of it, which is causing a crash. So PulseIn.c index, this timer is shared amongst all PulseIn objects as a higher resolution clock. So one way to protect against, Arun, I see your question. I'll get that in just a bit. So maybe PulseIn reset was called, or deinit was called, but the Like the easy thing is to check that this is not, that's not the value. But if PulseIn resets called, it doesn't actually turn anything off. Which I wonder if that's what it did. But that's not where we are, and like we're still running according to this. So how did it get set to... How does it get unset? All right, I'll take Aaron's question so I can let my brain decide how I want to do this. Appreciate these deep dives you do every week. I have a question that is off topic but still CircuitPython related. That's what I love best. I'm happy about that. Oh, and let me switch to, I'll switch here. Hope it's okay to raise it in here in the chat. I noticed that the ESP C3 modules don't have the alarm module implemented, and hence things like deep sleep is not possible. Is there a particular reason for this, extensive versus RISC-V, or had it just not been ported yet? Yeah, I think we just haven't turned it on and tested it. So I would try it. Try turning it on and see what happens. Yeah, just haven't spent the time on it yet. I don't know of any particular reason that it would be a problem, but I also haven't tried to do it, so I don't know what the hurdles are. So yeah, no reason except the C3 hasn't just gotten, we haven't done a lot of work on it yet. So yeah, if you want to try, the CircuitPython dev channel on Discord is the best place to get help with it, and we'd be happy to merge changes that allow that to work. Like even, yeah, whenever you get to it, that would be great. I do intend on circling back to, like, I have this implementer's guide, and I do want to do the alarm module, but I haven't gotten there yet. It'll depend on, like, if it uses, if the alarm module implementation uses the IDF and the IDF works across all the boards, or what. Yeah, it's a great task. If you don't have one already, get a PPK2. So don't do any power deep sleep stuff until you have a way to measure the current. It's not worth your time. So get one of these if you don't have them already. The Power Profile Kit 2, they're like $100. I think they're probably in stock at digikey. If you're gonna do alarm stuff and deep sleep stuff, start by getting one of those. In fact, let's just look in digikey right now. I think we stock them too, actually. Yeah, we have 83 in stock. They're $100. They will save you a lot of time. Right. So they're not in stock at digikey. They're $90 at digikey, but we have them for $100. And you did get one of them recently. Perfect. That is probably something that's worth doing a deep dive if I've not done it already, is doing alarm testing. We'll see. I don't know what the lead time is on it. But yeah, we have 100. They haven't had them for a while. They're great though. Like, I have this other one that was kind of open sourcey and good, but it was like $600. So like the Power Profile Kit 2 is just, it's like, I have this Joule scope. I got this right before the PPK2 came out, but the PPK2 is the way to go. $100 does everything you need. Okay, so going back to this problem of this crash, I don't know how it's getting or why it's getting set to FF. Like, one thing we can do is we could just take all the places that it's set to FF, TC index, pulse in timer interrupt handler. This is not the one that's crashing. It's this pulse in interrupt handler is crashing. So this is where we could guard against it. But the question is why is this being called when it's invalid? Let's just do, since we have, so this is how you can do debug prints that are effectively like go out the same way that like a normal Python print would go. So this npplat print is the simplest thing. And let's do TC index. The other place it happens is here. Last deinit. Although we might crash before this flushes out, which is maybe a reason to fix that. Okay, well, let's try it. Must be calling PulseIn reset without a subsequent construct. Well, reset is, it really should be tearing down the timer. That's like very fast and loose. It's very fast and loose. Like it leaves that like other timer running. Although when we did the CMD port, we were pretty fast and loose with like everything gets cleaned up later. Like I don't need to tear it down correctly, which I'm moving us away from that. Okay, so it started up. I never did get to the blinking code before I crashed it. So I'm gonna flip the switch again and I will switch to my small desk cam as well. Okay, so there's that, and now let's open CircuitPy drive. We still have our breakpoint. We'll open the code, digital IO. Oh, and we're still going fast, so let's hit save, and we crashed again. Okay, so charger. So we're in reset to safe mode. We've actually looped all the way around. So we had the reset. We had the reset. PulseIn interrupt handler was called. We're in the time sleep. So, and we're in the time sleep, which means we called it again. So I wonder if, what happens? Like, it should find it again. Like, we did the reset, but we started over. It should have constructed it, and it should have set it, done it again. But maybe, well, refcount was also set to 0. tc index. What am I thinking? %d was right. And I'm okay with it crashing. Like, it should be 0. Yeah. I'm like, ugh. The fact that we're doing the blanket resets is like, I don't think it's the best way to go about it. But the problem is that like when things are sharing it can get hard to do specific resets. Maybe we're failing later on. So we're like partially initializing. But then we would be in an exception state. All right, well, let's reload debug again. Let's get it with a new print. So it's not that PulseIn's a problem, it's that writing during the PulseIn is the problem. Or reloading once PulseIn is going is a problem. So we can now effectively reproduce it, which is good, I think. And like I know how I could fix it by just saying like if it's this then bail. But like the question is why is it that in the first place? TX index. Oh, it doesn't. It's just for the print. It doesn't really matter. Yeah. Yeah, it's wrong, but it's just printing. It's fine. Okay, so let's pull up the drive again and the code again. Let's save, reset, and we didn't get to where we were, even though we should have gotten to refcount 0. So I think it kind of feels like we're, oh, yeah. Like, but there was no exception, which is weird. No exception, but we did print time monotonic. So, and we didn't, like, it probably printed that before we did it, yeah. Let's just print here. PulseIn. Like any of these should have caused problems, and refcount. Actually, let's print refcount with it. It should be 0 because it's being set to 0 right here. But maybe refcount is getting messed up or something. This is good. This is a bite-sized debugging thing. And this is something that's pretty common of like, I'm getting safe mode. Like the process is different on ESP, but not that much different on ESP. So you still, on ESP, you would do a debug build and then it would print the backtrace when it happened. Yeah, I think this is worth covering. Okay. If 2 deinit'eds are called in a row. Well, I'm printing on deinit. All right, let's trigger it again. Oh, did I destroy my Linux USB? L is blinking now, which I don't think I never finished that, did I? Oh, I hit reset and now everything's screwed. There we go. Now L is blinking. You know what? I wonder if L is meant to be TX. Semicolon says, I was going to comment a random obvious troll comment like write a loop with a condition true, but working as a DevOps engineer where my work is like 99% ops, I have no idea about coding. I think the wrong LED is blinking on this. Like I have a blinking LED, it is marked L, but it really should be the TX one because this board has TX and RX as well. Which is silly too. Okay, well it's going again, USB connected, which is good. Let's just crash it again. Ref count is 255. That's not good. That's not good at all. So how is ref count being set? Did I print the wrong thing? Did I print the wrong thing? No. How is ref count being set to 255? That is weird. That is really weird. Is it unsigned? Unsigned 8-bit. Am I setting it to -1? No, I'm setting it to 0. New PulseIn ref count. 0 decremented is 255. But we're not. Ref count plus. Are we calling deinit incorrectly? Oh, let's see. We're on M4. If on M4s, I think what you can do is you can do ASM breakpoint. Yeah, I think this will work on it. So this will say if ref count is 0 and we're doing this deinit, which we could be. Anyway, let's try that. That's a good point, retired wizard. And I feel like we should fix the TX pin as well. All right. What was my bench camera is frozen. You're not seeing me move. Bench camera is useless. Useless. Here we go. You can see it again. I think I really hammered on my USB bus. I think that's part of the problem. All right, continue. Huh, that's not good. It didn't even start up. Oh, status entry equals 0. My file system is unhappy. This is why I backed up all the things. All right, well, now it's going. I don't know why that happened. I can only fix so many crashes. Oh, good, you can see me again. All right, we're going CircuitPy, code.py, save. All right, here we go. Disconnect. So we hit that breakpoint that I had put in. So this is probably in the finalizer stuff. Yeah, so we're in GC sweep. We're stopping the VM. We're calling deinit, but we're calling deinit in a case where, as Retired Wizard's talking about, our ref count is 0. But ref count should be 1 here. Unless it's calling it twice. Unless we're PulseIn deinitting twice. Which is exactly what Retired Wizard's talking about. But it should be guarded by, like, if the object is deinitted, let's just do another print. I could do a watch point. That's an option too. Okay, so we know our ref count is getting 0. It's possible that it's being overwritten to 0. Oh, you know what it could be? Oh, I know what it is. So, PulseIn reset. So maybe this code was written before all the deinits were called. So PulseIn reset, and then PulseIn reset, setting it to 0, and then later the heap goes away. And when the heap goes away, it calls deinit, which does the decrement. So I think what we want is we just don't want a PulseIn reset. And I wonder, it's probably pretty old. It might predate the finalizer stuff. So you can, when you allocate a Python object, you can say this has a finalizer, and when it does the like heap cleanup, it'll delete it all. So this is a weird interaction between those two things, where we're like setting ref count to 0, and then we're doing the deinit, and the deinit's subtracting 1, as Retired Wizard was talking about. So common how, pulseio, PulseIn, blame. Hey, look, 4 years ago, I fixed SAMD51 PulseIn. And where is reset PulseIn? So I added the PulseIn reset. Fix. Okay. This could have been a bug for that long. So there's the refcount stuff. Rework sleep typing. So this is where I add PulseIn reset. I don't know why. This doesn't make any sense. Like, this commit message makes no sense to what it's doing here. Like, it's all... I guess this stuff is PulseIn stuff. Like, this is all PulseIn's. This is garbage. Thanks, Retired Wizard. The other thing that I should check is that this was in 5.40 beta 0. Low power. Huh. Hopefully fix PulseIn. Huh. This is a much bigger change. Yeah, talk about low power stuff. 197 files. Is that, we've been doing low power for 4 years now? IMX, Interrup, ST. I did PulseIn changes everywhere. Still out. So I think this is just wrong. Okay, so I added the PulseIn timer stuff. But I also added this reset, and can I view file? PulseIn at this thing. I'm wondering if shared bindings, pulsio, PulseIn used the finalizer already. It did not. Okay. So it didn't used to use the finalizer to do the deinit automatically. That's probably something that I recently did. I feel like I just did that, which is why it's a new bug. Which somewhat brings up, the question of, like, how many things did I break? How many things did I break when I switched that? See, now it's new object finalizer, which oh. Okay. Jeff added it in March of last year. So this bug has been around since March of last year. Here's an old one for those of you who are like historians of CircuitPython, all of our hardware APIs originally were in one big module called nativeio. And right before our 1.0 release, we decided to split it up into smaller modules, which was very much the right thing to do. It says, for example, this way, pulseio can be omitted to allow for something else such as touchio. And we've actually split pulseio furthermore since then. Okay, so this has been a bug since the finalizer. And I think the right fix is to just remove it. Because deinit is smarter. It actually will reset the TC. Yeah, so let's just remove that. Pulse in, and then its call is in supervisor port. It's going to be here. Pulse in reset. And supervisor port. I wonder, we probably need to do an audit around this. Although this is like a specific bug, but like if PulseOut's reset is doing the same exact thing. I wonder if we have the same bug with PulseOut. Like it looks like the same code. Yeah. I think that's probably the same problem. I wonder if anybody's found it. Bonus points if you can do it. So it seems like we really need to you either have a blanket reset or you don't and you do the deinit. You can't do both. So I'm pretty sure that issues open. Pulse in not working as expected on SAMD. Clear, resume. Note how the active/idle positions sometimes get swapped. Yeah, this is exactly what we just fixed on ESP last stream, is this bug. I wonder, since I'm in here, whether I should just do it. I can't just do it. I can't just do it, but I wonder if I can cause the same, like the same code with PulseOut should literally crash the same way, right? Like if we just do the same thing but with a PulseOut, I bet we could crash it as well. Okay, so we can leave that breakpoint in there because it shouldn't hit it anymore. But now we'll reload it here and we'll do the same thing here because I'm pretty sure PulseOut is also ref counted in the same exact way. I wonder if we could have a way to guarantee that like only one way or the other is done. All right, I'm gonna load it again because I added that other breakpoint. Good. I love fixing bugs. It is very satisfying. I guess I should verify that I fixed that bug too. I'll do that first. Okay. Oh, and we should fix the light. The pin, the TX pin is wrong. It's the L one. It's blinking, but our USB hasn't come up yet. Which is unfortunate. USB's unhappy, which is, the camera's still working. Okay, let's just reset. Oh, and that means I have to do the, when I hit the reset button, the J-Link comes unhappy. So I gotta restart it and reconnect. Come on, USB. I bet my Linux USB stack is very unhappy with me. That is my guess. That is my guess. Okay. It looks like it's working, but like we're not seeing it show up on the TTI or the. I'm just gonna power cycle it and see if that helps. Oh, you know what the reason is? I had the switch flipped. Simple problems. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I've done that before. I'll tell you that. Okay. Let me switch to the USB flip. That's the downside of having the data switch on your USB cable. Although now it's blinking and it still didn't show up. There we go. Got the switch right. All right, so CircuitPy, code.py, save, and it worked okay. Refcount was, oh, that's new TC index. Okay, that looks good. Now let's see if we can't do a PulseOut. And save it again, and we crashed. So PulseOut has the same problem. So let's just fix that by doing the same thing and relying on deinit to do the right thing. So deinit should be correct. It's the bulk resets that are not right. Supervisor port. Nice. Didn't I delete it once already? All right. So this is like a whole class of bugs where like we switch to finalizers, which are helpful, but they may not work right with the resets, the bulk resets. This makes me think that like maybe in 10.0 we should really just completely get rid of bulk resetting. It's kind of annoying, but you already have to have deinit work right because user code could call all the deinits anyway. All right. Okay, I did flip the switch. Now I know to look for that. And it is input-output error. Huh. I wonder if that's a file system corruption. Or where that's coming from. Yeah, it might have been file system corruption. I mean, it's problematic that I'm crashing due to a file write. Like, it's kind of like not good. So that's how your file system gets corrupted. Okay, so it's working, and now if I hit save again, oh, it's write protected. Read-only file system. Yeah, my file system is not good. So I'm going to eject it. And then here I'm going to go import storage, storage.erase file system. Which I wonder how many of these file system errors are caused by this bug. Like if you have a bug that happens during reset, it's possible that it's possible that you're not flushing the file system first. So I wonder if we could flush the file system before we run all the resets. That's kind of annoying. But yeah, interesting. Interesting. So I'm glad I backed up all my files. I can open this, but then I can Control Z and save the new version. And save it again. And I don't crash. Oh. Internal resources in use. So with that reset, I'm not freeing everything I need to be freeing. There's all timers in use. Line 6. Where am I getting this? Code.py, PulseOut, line 6 is PulseOut. And it's telling me, here's result. Common how pwmout construct is raising this error. So that's what must be but this pwmout deinit should handle that. So that's my guess. PWM result. pwmout construct, and then pwmout deinit. So that should be like 1 for 1. But I must be leaking something else. Hey. pwmout raise error. All right, we're just about out of time. It's not this all timers in use. We're not even getting that far. So maybe we need to look at pwmout as having the same problem. I'm pulling on a thread and I don't know how long it is. Unexpected maker. Sorry I'm late. We're having fun squishing those bugs. Yes, and you will be very excited that I fixed a NeoPixel issue on the S2. So you should try Absolute Latest, because I think you have an S2 NeoPixel board. And if you've seen it flickering when Wi-Fi is on CircuitPython, it should be better now. So check that out. I did not talk about that in this stream, but I did that this week, and I thought of you. So let's just take a quick gander at or add some prints to pwmout. So we have a pwmout reset. So mp printf. I wonder if this also has those. I don't think pwmouts are automatically reset though. I care about the index. So here's the internal resources in use. Else. New timer. T. Num timers per pin. T index. Timer equals T. Pin timer. And then what I care about is the deinit. This stuff is complicated. PulseOut is complicated, turns out. How does that work? So this just resets tracking. It doesn't actually reset the resources. Oh, and it reset for some reason. T undeclared. pwmout 182. Timer. I will get to the bottom of this. And then I will go for a run. Do 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 do. Any other questions? How close do you think 9 release is? Ooh, I hope a week or two, a couple weeks. Dan's planning on doing another beta 1 this weekend or early next week. But then I think probably after that, so maybe not next week, but the week after, we'll have a release candidate, hopefully. There's a few other things that we need to do next week before we do release candidate. So yeah, hopefully a couple weeks before it's at least in release candidate mode. Generally, once it's in release candidate, we're basically done. It's just kind of a like, see if anything crops up over the next week, and if it does, we'll fix it and do another release candidate. But if like nothing happens for that week, then we'll just make that release candidate the same as the main stable version. So yeah, not too far away. We're a lot closer. We're down to 15 issues, which is awesome. Continuing, my USB switches still going, but my J-Link is unhappy for some reason. Let's reload it again. I want to start flashing 9 onto my boards as my test jigs as I'm split between 8 to 10 and 9x because of tiny C6. It would be nice to be flashing 9 on all of them. I don't think there are any outstanding ESP issues. I knocked all those out in the last week or so. There is one about the web workflow not working, but I think that's actually a JavaScript fix on code.circuitpython.org side. So it should be in pretty good shape. Okay, let's see what's happening here. New timer 0. Internal resources in use. pwmout reset. And then we crashed. Why did we crash? PulseOut deinit. PulseOut 180. Oh. What? PulseOut 180. I know CircuitPython doesn't support user code in RB2040 Core 1. But have you had to debug C code with GDB in Core 1? I have. I did a little bit of that when I was doing like the Pico DVI and the USB host stuff. Yeah, it's not fun. Like basically you just like that command I'm running to connect via JLink, you just do the _1 instead of it _0. Like kind of after you've already crashed to connect to it. So it's a little. Interesting. I just won't ship a beta on all my boards if I can avoid it, even a stable one. Last time I did that with 7x, folks were just reflashing previous stable. Yeah, it was interesting. It is interesting to me that so many people really want to be on the stable release. Yeah, so we're a few weeks away, I think. So definitely test it so that we feel pretty confident about it, but generally it's pretty, like, we're pretty happy with it. And this beta 1 should be even better than beta 0. Yeah, so I don't know why PulseOut deinit. That seems very weird to me. Now this is LTO'd. Oh, pulsio PulseOut deinit is the shared bindings portion. But refcount shouldn't be crashing. Pulse finish. I don't know why it's resetting like that. It shouldn't be. Oh, you know, maybe my USB port is turning it off and back on again. Probably didn't have to run 2 GDBs at the same time. No, I was kind of like switching back and forth. But yeah, it's really annoying because like getting them going at the same time is tough. I don't know why this is causing a problem. It shouldn't, unless that is not on the heap. But let's just have this. I know, I'm running out of time, but I'm not about to like leave this for next week. I want to finish this. I have more projects that require stability that I'm still working on daily. I was big into experimenting with 8x alphas and betas, but not as much for 9x this time. Yeah, you can wait till release candidate or till stable. But did that work? No. I don't know why. Well, yeah, I think my host operating system might have been like, hey, this USB device isn't working. Let's reset the power, which breaks my debugger connection. There we go. I know it's 4 o'clock. But, I mean, I could stop the stream. But I'm not about, I'm too into it to get up. It's real tempting to go running, I'll tell you. Especially because this, I mean, it's still not too bad. It's not raining, but I think it's cloudier than it was. So, okay, so our USB is flipped off. Flip USB on. Hit save. New timer 0. And then we crash. Switch to there. And we're in deinit'ed again. PulseOut 181. Ah, now we're in the breakpoint. But how are we decrementing refcount more than once? pwmout reset, throw an exception, pwmout reset. Refcount here, 0, spare timer, plus plus, equals 0. Oh, are we deinit'ing? Yeah, that's what we must be doing. So I think what's happening is we hit construct and we try to do this, but it fails. And so it raises an exception, and then on cleanup, it still calls deinit. I think what we need to do is we need to gauge self pin. We need a different way to know that it's already deinit. So instead of, yeah. See, right now we're doing it based on whether pwmout is deinit'ed, which it should be, given that it failed. Like if it raised an error, if it gives a bad result, pwmout, how does pwmout know it's deinit'ed? If self.pin is null. So we want to make sure that self.pin, so self.pin is assigned at the very beginning. So it will be considered that it's not thing, but we want to be at the very, very end. Self-timer. Okay, let's do it down here. All right, so that should fix it. Hopefully. It should mean that, yeah. We're here for you. Thanks, DCD. And thanks to DCD for usually taking notes. I don't want to assume you are, but you usually do. Let's see if this load works. Looks like it did. So we'll hit continue. We've got a blinking light we still need to fix because it's the wrong light blinking. We've got USB, CircuitPy, code, save. And it started again. We run again. We still ran out of resources, which is not correct. Like, we're not giving back this. Like, there's this new timer 0. We're not giving it back, which is weird. So PulseOut, deinit. Right. New timer. And then pwmout deinit. This stuff is so hard to reason about. PulseOut deinit. Is there going to be a test? And then we should get down here. I don't know why pwmout deinit'ed. Like, it should get down here and it should do it. Should do pwmout reset. And then pin should be okay. Or the TCC ref count is not right. Let's be friendly to our USB. Go away. Welcome to the world of CircuitPython. I do want to be able to go for a run though, so I don't have that much time. I feel like I'm like not that far away. It's just like all this reset logic. Getting it right is hard. Okay, we're blinking. Turn on our USB. Jam it. There we go. CircuitPy drive, code, save. Still in use. Still in use. So timer 0 in use still. Potentially okay. But why aren't we able to use it a third time? Channels. p-index. Num timers per pin. Channel okay. Claim channel. TCC channel. Huh. Ugh. Like maybe there's two channels? And so we run out of channels. Timer in use. I don't know what else it would be used for, unless we're also using it for the pulse out. Or we're doing the same mistaken ref count again. Let's be friendly to USB again. Eject our drive before we make it all go away. Thanks for sticking with me, anybody who's still out there. Even though I've been dropping frames this whole time, apparently. I don't know why. I'm on to stuff, though. I'm on to bugs, and bugs that happen when your file system's in a bad state. I think, do we flush when we do reset into safe mode? I don't even know. We probably should. Okay, that light is still wrong. That'll be like the benefit. Get the right TX light going. Assuming that I don't have a prototype board. Oh, look, ref count 255. So we're having the same problem where I think pwmout doesn't use deinit. It uses the bulk reset. But oh. Internal resources in use. I don't know why that is. Like, ref count's not right because of the same problem. Ref count's not right because pwmout is bulk reset. Like if I look at pwmout is not a finalizer thing. I think I have to change pwmout. I should probably do that. The bulk resetting is just a pain. The other nice thing is that if we move away from bulk resetting, we don't need the all right. If we move away from bulk resetting, we don't need never reset. Like only direct deinit'eds matter anymore. And so if you need something that's never reset, you just don't deinit it. Which I think is like, I didn't want to do this now, but it's probably for the best if we just got rid of bulk resetting completely and just made everything with a finalizer. But that's a lot of work. But like, this is that thread. Like, this is like one thread that's just like spaghetti. I guess the problem is like, if there's anything relying on bulk reset that doesn't do a proper deinit, then that's a problem. I don't know. I think this is a good time for me to wrap up and take a run and see what I think at the end of it. At least, I think at least I have to do pwmout to be deinitting, which really shouldn't be that big of a deal. Like, I think finalizers are the right way to go. Yeah, spaghetti for sure. Okay, well, this has been Deep Dive. Welcome to the depths of CircuitPython. We definitely went there today. If you haven't yet, please do try the absolute latest. Hopefully beta 1 will be out this weekend. But yeah, let us know if there are any show-stopping bugs. Not the minor things that you could live with, but the things that like really prevent it from working. My name is Scott. I go by tannewt online. I work for Adafruit. Adafruit does open source hardware and software. If you want to support me in them. Oh, and did you see I have a 9.0 poster here too? You can go to adafruit.com, support them. If you want to join the Discord, the chat on the middle over here is the URL adafru.it/discord. And yeah, if you're in the US, have a great 3-day weekend. I will, oh yeah, and I missed that, unexpected maker already left. Anyway, thank you all for hanging out. Thanks preemptively to DCD for the time codes. And I think that's it. I'm going to go take a run and think this over some more and how to deal with it. But especially because we're seeing this corruption, it's just like, ooh, like crashing at that point is really bad. So yeah, I'm going to go think about that. And probably won't PR till next week. We'll see. But maybe what I'll do is I'll write a comment on the issue and say, like, I found this, and it's this like big long spaghetti string of things. Anyway, have a great weekend. I'll do a little bit of window cam to end it. At least the sun is up still, and it's not raining. Right.